Hello all of you. Here we'll be discussing your paper 2 of GS, Polity, Governance and International Relations. Most of the questions this year are on expected line. However, there are certain exceptions as well. We'll see them as and when we proceed with these questions. The first question, examining the need for electoral reforms as suggested by various committees with particular reference to one nation, one election. So you see the relevance of this question. This particular stuff has been making news ever since the Ramnath Kovind committee was constituted, and they have given the recommendations. Government of India has expected the has Government of India has actually accepted all those recommendations, and there might very soon we might witness one nation, one election. But see what the question asks: the need for electoral reform as suggested by various committees, and then you have to emphasize on one nation, one election principle. So first of all, what exactly is electoral reform? You need to define this process in one line. You may say that it is a set of initiatives that strengthens the election process. Initiatives that strengthen the electoral process. Strengthen election or electoral process, you can write. And checks the malpractices, electoral malpractices. These are the two lines you will write to define what is electoral reform. Now, you need to change the para and write about the various committees. There have been a lot of committees which have suggested electoral reform, and the first committee was formed in 1970, which suggested amendments to the election law. Amendments to election law, mostly the RPN 1950 and 1951. First time it happened was way back in 1970. Now, from there, very next year, in 1971 itself, a joint parliamentary committee was set up, which suggested the same thing, to amend the electoral elections laws. This has got to cover RPN 1950 and 1951. So this is the history. This is the history of committees suggesting electoral reform, as your question asks. Then you come to the more recent ones, the Dinesh Goswami committee. Quite famous one it is. And people who have attended the classes know that we have covered these things. Dinesh Goswami committee, what it says, it recommended what is called the state funding of elections. State funding of elections, but there was a condition attached. Cash should not be there. Okay, cash should not be there. Kind should be there. They suggested that let us give fuels, vehicles, electoral roll to the parties and the candidates likewise. And state funding should be there. However, cash should not be there. See, this is Dinesh Goswami committee came in 1990. So India was not having that much of money. This is pre-liberalization era, socialist era it is. So state cannot fund the elections. Even the Indrajit Gupta committee, the next one, Indrajit Gupta committee, this is post-liberalization, but still it would not endorse complete state funding. Okay, Indrajit Gupta committee will also say the same thing, that let there be state funding. The government should bear the expense of elections of all parties, of all candidates. Okay, but it will again say that only for national parties and state parties, not for independent. State funding only for national and state parties. It will not cover independent candidates. Actually, Law Commission, Election Commission, these specialized committees, they have not favored independent candidates. India is parliamentary democracy, so mostly party-based politics is more favored by these entities. So this was in the Jeet Gupta committee. Now, next you can quote the Law Commission. Law Commission has also suggested a lot of things for electoral reforms. The Law Commission's 255th report, the 255th report of Law Commission, is on electoral reforms. So it also is worth quoting here. Okay, Law Commission, you know, is a part of Law Ministry. It's an attached office with Union Law Ministry. So what they said that we need to regulate the political parties, regulate political parties, check their inner party democracy, make sure that their accounts are properly and professionally managed. Okay, their funding is transparent. Okay, Law Commission has recommended these things. And finally, it also said that the section 33 clause 7, section 33 clause 7 of RPA 1951 needs to be amended. Why? Because this section provides for one person who can contest from two seats. Now, you know, if a person wins from two constituencies, he needs to resign from one constituency. A by-election would happen. Law Commission is not in favor of it. Law Commission does not favor by-elections. One candidate winning two seats and resigning from one seat, it will lead to expenses of by-election. The voters' enthusiasm in by-election, empirically, it has been observed. Evidence suggests that it has been very low. So better amend it, because a person cannot represent more than one constituency. So why should he fight from two constituencies? Section 33 clause 7 needs to be amended. One person, one constituency should contest. Not earlier, it was in your prelims they asked this question, you know, they gave this, consider the Tau Devilal question. They asked, yes, Mr. Devilal did contest from 3 seats, Mr. Vajpayee contested from 3 seats, but that was before this 33-7 was there. Now it says that one person can contest from maximum 2 seats. And it also has given this provision, you know, the Chief Election Commission, Article 324 provides for Election Commission CEC plus 2 ECs. Now, how can CEC be removed? He has constitutional protection. CEC has constitutional protection. He does not hold office at the pleasure of the president. Very basic thing in polity, we have learned these things. But these 2 ECs can be removed when president, what is the process required here to removing these 2 election commissioners? President needs to consult CEC, which means both these people do not have the constitutional protection like CEC. Law Commission says accord same protection, same constitutional protection. Accord same constitutional protection to the 2 ECs as well. So you can write all these things, the various commissions. The first part of your question has been answered. Now see the second part, what it says, with particular reference on one nation, one election. So how is one nation, one election related to electoral reform? Is it a step toward electoral reform? This is what you have to see here. This is what you have to write here, analyze here. One nation, one election. So you can quote the committee which was formed for this particular purpose, headed by the former president, Ramnath Kovind Committee, 2023. It has recommended and Government of India has accepted. So it's a multi-member committee, likes of legendary Subhas Kashyap is a part of it. Other members are also there, and of course the former president, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, is there. So they have proposed it, and now the committee has also said that it will require at least 15 amendments to the constitution. 15 amendments are needed to the constitution to bring it. Now you don't have to go into all those details, which article will be, no, these things are not required here. You have to see how it is a step towards electoral reform. What all reform will it suggest? So first thing it says that Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha elections will happen simultaneously. It used to happen earlier till 1967 as a matter of fact, but then some state assemblies were dissolved, so the cycle was ruptured. And local body elections, panchayat and municipalities, within 100 days, within 100 days of Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha election. This is what the committee has said. Now, why it is perceived to be a step towards electoral reform? Let us see the points here. First of all, it will optimize resources. Okay, which means election resources which were differently used for these two elections, now they will be combined, so combination will lead to optimization of resources. This is what the argument says, and it's correct one. Then the model code of conduct will have less duration. You know, model code of conduct is imposed whenever, the moment EC does their press conference, CEC and the two ECs, the moment press conference ends, model code of conduct is applicable. Now what happens here? Parties cannot announce a new scheme. Nothing new can happen. So it is said that it hampers welfare and development work. So this will not happen. Okay, this will not happen if MCC will be in less duration would be there. Then the perpetual electoral election mode, somewhere or the other some election is going on. So some state election, perpetual election mode. Our honorables are in perpetual election mode. You see the likes of Prime Minister, Union Ministers, Chief Ministers, State Ministers, big leaders campaigning. Okay, political campaigns. So this campaigning will be reduced, which means they will focus on governance. They will focus on governance, and less black money will be pumped in. Less black money will be pumped in. A lot of black money is being pumped during election process. It's an open secret, everyone knows about it. Then populist schemes, less populism will happen. Why less populism? Because elections are not there. 5 points I think are sufficient to tell us why it's a step towards electoral reform. And you may add it, but it's not related to electoral reform. The over analysis that we as a country do on everything that becomes political, maybe that will also reduce. But this is not inherently a point of electoral reform, so you may avoid it. However, there are certain concerns. What are the concerns? First point, concerns with one nation, one election. Now, how will you write this point? Till the benefits, till you are showing that one nation, one election is a part of electoral reform, you are writing point wise. Concerns, how you are showing? Concerns you are showing, because question is not asking for your concerns, but you are saying that it has certain concerns. First thing, do we have such resources? Do we have such resources? There's a question mark. Do we have those CAPF personnel to be deployed? Do we have all those EVMs? Do we have the government employees who will be doing election duty? So, do we have such resources? This is one question. Second thing, because some of the other election was happening, so there was a check on the government. Check on the government, and government was not taking us for granted. But now government knows that the next election will happen after 5 years. People will not be able to defeat us in a state election. In a state election, people will not be able to defeat us. So the check on the government will be effectively reduced. Now let us see more practical constitutional issues. We are living in coalition era. In fact, it never went away. Okay, for 10 years we had a majoritarian government, but that was also NDA 2 and 3. Coalition, and in states we always mostly have coalitions. So what happens in coalition era is that there is political tentativeness, uncertainty. Okay, one person switching sides, you know these things, right? So what will happen if a state government falls because one coalition partner walks away? Will there be by-election in that state if the assembly is dissolved? Or will Article 356 be used? Will that state have president rule? So will there be by-elections or will there be president rule? We are not very sure of it. Okay, so these are the concerns. So lastly, you write this, that it seems to be a good idea, but it needs more discussion with all stakeholders. There are some glaring issues which need to be addressed. Done. This is how you need to write this question. Okay, more than sufficient points we have discussed. You can pick and choose. Moving to the next one. Explain and distinguish between Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunal. First thing, what exactly is Lok Adalat and what exactly is arbitration tribunal? Both of them are backed by separate laws. Both of them are backed by separate laws. Here you have the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987, which provided for the Lok Adalats. And for arbitration, you have Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996. Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996. Now they serve different purpose. Okay, they serve different purpose. There is a similarity also, that both were brought to reduce burden on judiciary. The judiciary is actually adjudicating a lot of cases, so let the burdens be removed, let people get easier access to justice. But there is a difference. There are a lot of differences here. Like this thing, Lok Adalat, it is mostly consensus oriented. Okay, it is mostly consensus oriented. People arrive at consensus here. They come willingly and they are like, it will not provide harsh punishments. Okay, it will not provide harsh punishment, and this is less formal also. Okay, this is less formal. But arbitrary, this thing, the arbitration tribunal are more formal and strict legal procedures are applied here. Strict legal procedures are applicable here. It's not like they are trying to arrive at a conclusion. Now, here we see that this is mostly adversarial. Like one person may be facing the heat, the person who will lose the case. Okay, but here nothing like that happens. This is more of conciliatory. This is more of conciliatory, so there will be no sore losers in this side, in the Lok Adalats. Now, which kind of cases they will do? They can try civil plus criminal cases which are, minor, but they will only try civil cases. Here criminal cases are not to be tried. And here civil plus criminal, but criminal minor, compoundable also, you can say. Compoundable means which can be compromised. Okay, now a murder cannot be compromised. Rape, extortion, these are strict offenses. So they are called non-compoundable. So compoundable criminal offenses plus civil offenses can be done here. Now, Lok Adalats are free for parties. There is no fees that they are supposed to pay, but here parties have to bear the fees. Bear the fees. Okay, so this is the difference. The second part of the question we have already answered here. You can write it here as well, or you can write it separately, saying that civil cases plus criminal compoundable cases can be tried in Lok Adalat, but here what would happen? Only civil cases will come. Okay, only the civil cases will come. And one more difference you can add, that in here the decision is binding. The decision of arbitration tribunals are binding on the parties which are involved. Here it is binding if parties agree. So before coming to Lok Adalat, they have to say that if the decision is given, then we will accept it. Decision will be enforceable if both of them are accepting. Otherwise it will not. But here it is binding. Here it would be binding. So this is your second question. Second part of the question we have already answered, the civil and criminal stuff. You can write it separately as well while answering this question. Next one. The growth of cabinet system has practically resulted in the marginalization of the parliamentary supremacy. So why this question is there? Because for the third time, the same party has retained the power. 3 terms. BJP is having a record third tenure. Prime Minister Modi is the second PM after Prime Minister Nehru to be voted for the third time in a row. So this is leading to what we also call a very strong PMO, but this time because the numbers have decreased, 240 are the seats of BJP. They have the 240 Lok Sabha MPs. So it does not make sense to call it a very strong PMO. However, still PMO is very formidable. But growth of cabinet system, you see, cabinet system is executive. Practically resulted in the marginalization of parliamentary supremacy, legislative. You know, one of the important functions of parliament is to check the executive. But they are not being able to do that. Parliament executive को check नहीं कर पा रहा है. क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा है? This is what you are being asked here. Elucidate. Why cabinet has become so strong that it has marginalized parliamentary supremacy? This is exactly the question is. Now you tell me why it is happening. Because obviously we have a powerful executive. See, a government that returns for the third time can be anything but a weak government. Okay. So yes, government remains strong and government currently looks comfortable. Despite having compulsive coalition, the government appears to be quite comfortable. They are not facing any major tantrums by the coalition partners like we have witnessed with the earlier coalition governments during Vajpayee and to an extent during Dr. Manmohan Singh as well. So that powerful executive is there, plus what else the executive does to dilute the parliament's review, to dilute the process through which parliament can review or check the executive. So they will issue whips. Whip is being issued. Now you know what will happen if a person disobeys, if an MP disobeys the whip, he will be tried under 10th schedule. 10th schedule, that is your anti-defection law. Not a encouraging thing for any legislator. So the role of individual lawmaker, where is the individual lawmaker? In the parliament. He may be from the ruling party, but he has all the rights to check the government. Okay, there are numerous instances when ruling party MPs have asked questions to the ministers in the question hour, and that is how it should be. But this thing, the whip being issued, you cannot toe anything other than the party line. Individual consciousness of the legislature is being compromised here. Now, what else do we see? The debates. First of all, quality has reduced, and whatever and frequency, the less frequent number of sittings, less sittings of parliament is happening. Okay, earlier it used to be at least 100 days. Now it is not even 100 days. And these debates hardly impact policies. Okay. When was the last time you recall that something major happened in parliament and people cutting across the party spoke with passion and that impacted a particular policy or a piece of legislation? You need to think, but still you have to turn the pages of history. So it is not happening of late. The debates quality has been reduced. They have been going down. Less number of sittings are happening, and the result of those discussion are not reflecting on policy and legislative work. So yes, this thing is happening. Another thing that we see is ordinance, frequent use of ordinance, and this bypasses legislature. So these are the things that you can say that parliamentary supremacy has been compromised here because of growth of cabinet system. Cabinet system is the executive. Cabinet refers to the government of India, the executive. And after writing all these things, one nice line you need to write something like that in parliamentary form of government, parliament needs to exercise control on the executive, and executive must be responsible and accountable to the parliament. So the sitting should be more, individual legislatures should be encouraged to ask questions cutting across the party line and even going beyond the party line. So all these things you can write in the conclusion. Next one, duty of CAG is not merely to ensure legality of expenditure but also its propriety. So CAG is a constitutional body, Article 148, and many times there have been questions both in your prelims and your mains regarding the CAG. Now, why this particular question has come, again, it's not by default. There was a report of CAG, the current CAG, on the current government, Ayushman Bharat PM Jan Dhan, Ayushman Bharat Jan Arogya. This scheme, PM Jan Arogya Yojana. So CAG has identified certain irregularities. Again, not illegality, please understand. Irregularities, which is possible through propriety audit. Okay, which is again possible through propriety audit. Now, what exactly is propriety audit and what are the types of things, what are the types of audits that CAG does? So CAG, mostly what is the function of CAG under the constitution? Wherever public money goes, CAG will come and do the audit. Okay, sarkari kharcha. Whenever public money, any money from CFI, contingency fund, public account, and for states also, you know, the three accounts are there for the states also. If that money is being spent, CAG will do the audit. What is the purpose of audit? To ensure that there is no misappropriation. Money is being used and spent on the intended purpose. The intended purpose is what? The same thing which the executive said in the legislature. When budget was being passed, government ensures that demands turn into grant through voting. And then appropriation bill is passed. Okay, this is how budget is passed. So CAG ensures that the same money, the money which the ministry said that I need 10,000 crore for this purpose, money is being 10,000 crore rupees are being spent on those stated purpose. This is the main function of CAG. But propriety audit, this will extend beyond. propriety audit will extend beyond mere scrutinizing of the expenditure. Okay, it will go beyond merely scrutinizing the expenditure. Okay, what will CAG do here then? Here he will try to question the wisdom and economy. Okay, the wisdom, what an economy, should it have been done for a lesser price? Was this expenditure worth it? So wisdom and economy will also be questioned in propriety audit. And you have cases here. It's not like it has been done for the first time here only. Now, what has happened here in Ayushman Bharat, what the CAG has said, PM Jan Arogya Yojana is there. Benefits are given, medical benefits are given to the intended beneficiary. So allocation that has happened, allocation is fine. There is no issue with allocation here. This is what CAG report has said, that allocation is fine, but propriety is questionable. Okay, this thing is questionable because there are some incorrect identifications as highlighted by the CAG. Certain incorrect identifications of beneficiaries. There are gaps in distribution, so on and so forth. These things have been highlighted. That's why this question has come. Then the Commonwealth Games, the famous one. There also this was because of propriety audit that CAG could find certain loopholes here. Okay, allegedly 70,000 crore rupees. As per the CAG, Mr. Binod Rai was the CAG. So he said that when you buy things in bulk, what will happen? The per unit cost will reduce. You purchase your A4 sheets, जो जिसमें लिखते हो. So one register may be for, let's say, 100 rupees. If you said give me 20 registers, it may come down to 90 or 95 rupees. In Commonwealth Games, more the quantity was increasing, more the prices were increasing. Again, CAG highlighted these things, okay, through propriety audit. So, yes, propriety audit is necessary. CAG needs to do it, and not merely to ensure legality. So, legality is fine, okay, allocation and all are good. The fund is being spent on the intended purpose. This is the legality. But propriety also needs to be ensured. This will give more teeth to the CAG. Okay, CAG will be able to check more of the government expenditure. So yes, this is a desirable preposition, no doubt about that. And certain things have happened in past, certain things have happened now also. With all these cases, you can complete this one. Now, role of local bodies in providing good governance at local level and bring out the pros and cons of merging the rural local bodies with the urban local bodies. Two parts of this question. Role of local bodies. So when we say role of local bodies, we are pointing towards both panchayat as well as the municipalities. So what they intend to bring? Good governance at local level. Okay, the question assumes this. No, you don't have to explain this line. Question assumes this. So, what are the analyze the role? So you need to analyze that how it is happening. When the question says analyze, you have to state the obvious. How do you analyze something? You divide that stuff into small parts and piecemeal approach you have when you analyze certain things. So this question also, this statement has to be analyzed. Now let us see how local bodies provide good governance. Let us try to analyze this particular stuff. So, self-government, it brings self-government at the grassroots level. Okay. People there will decide for themselves how things have to be done. Now, one of the benefit of this thing, one of the benefit of self-government is that it will lead to better utilization of resources. Better utilization of resources. Another thing is it will lead to mass participation. Participation of even those who are marginalized. It is for them only that these things are done. Okay, it will lead to participation from one and all. Even the person who is standing at the end of the queue will be able to participate here. Now, local bodies also effectively contribute to local economy. Contribute to local economy. The type of things that they do: waste management, sanitation, some durable assets being made, some durable or not so durable assets being made through Manrega, identifying the intended beneficiaries, something for agriculture. So this creates a ripple effect in local economy. Okay, so yes, they have a role to play here as well, and they will always have a better approach to multi-dimensional issues, which may be from state capital. Okay, from Bihar, in Bihar, maybe from Patna things will look different, but in far-flung village of Begusarai, the reality would be different. Okay, so let multi-dimensional approach emerge at the grassroots. Okay, let it emerge at the grassroots, and it can discover better effective answers by local participation. This, of course, you can write, and because of the local participation, the process would be more transparent, and people will be held accountable. These are the points. This is what we have done. We have analyzed it. Now the pros and cons. Pros and cons of merging the rural local bodies with urban local bodies. So pros. What would happen if PRIs and ULBs are merged, and what would be the cons? First thing is, they will be having broadened resource base. When you merge two things, okay, all nationalized banks coming together, imagine the kind of assets that they will have. So broaden resource base. Then what will happen? The villages would benefit from urban infra. Municipalities do have better infra and resources than your villages. Then the funding would also increase. The funding as in the funds allotted. Resource is not only financial, there are personnel also involved. So first point is about personnel resource, and then you will write about the funding. Now, because it will also have a more integrated approach. See, how will the district develop if all the panchayats and municipalities in the district are also developed? So integrated approach will be there, and it will improve the service delivery. Service delivery will improve. These are the pros. What are the cons? What are the cons that you see here? That it will put more burden on urban infrastructure. It will put more burden on urban infra. See how we have used this point pragmatically to write the answer. Pros में हमने क्या लिखा? It will broaden the resource base. No doubt it will happen, but at the same time it will pressurize the urban infrastructure more. That is also a fact. So we can use that. Plus, you see, I wonder if any one of you have been to your village, not for just few holidays, who has lived in village. So you see the cultural difference. Okay, try convincing a person from village with all the bookish knowledge that you have, and see, in most of the cases it will backfire. So there is a cultural difference. And more than cultural difference, the priorities are different. In cities and villages, the priorities are different. So will they be able to gel well together? There is a question mark on this. There remains a question mark on this. Plus, if we bring both these things together, it might go against the very idea of democratic decentralization. It will lead to more centralization. It is inevitably leading to more centralization, plus what will happen? Here we see that earlier we have written that participation part was there. Now this participation may decrease. Participation may decrease, especially of the marginalized section, the vulnerable section. So these are the pros and cons of it. These are the pros and cons of it. Let us take a 2-minute break. We'll return. The next question. Public charitable trusts have the potential to make India's development more inclusive as they relate to certain vital public issues. Comment. So this question is on public charitable trust and how they have the potential to make India's development more inclusive. Why? Because they relate to certain vital public issues. First of all, what are public charitable trust? First thing you need to know, what are public charitable trust? So what is a trust? A trust is like formed because it is formed for some philanthropic purpose. Okay, publicly, people, any organization can come up with this, any individuals can come up with this. So how they have this potential to develop, to make India's development more inclusive, how it will accommodate the different sections is what you have to write here, what you have to mention here. So inclusivity will come because they will address the vulnerabilities in important areas like healthcare, education, nutrition, sanitation, all these things. Plus, these trusts, because they are not a part of government, they will have a certain inherent flexibility. Okay, and they can also think out of box solutions. Like there will be innovations that they would be doing. Okay, not sticking with what they have been told to do. Now, there are many trusts by the Tatas who have done a very good work, especially in some villages in Jharkhand, Bihar, other villages of other states also, especially related to digital literacy. So Tatas have done it through their trust. They have a whole range, the genetic unit that Tata is. So their trusts are also performing very well. Now, what this trust will do, they can also get funding from the private sector. Okay, so they will have a rich resource pool. They will get private funding and they will have a rich resource pool as well. So all these things can be done through the trust, these things, and they will be able to reach the marginalized. Maybe public delivery has not happened. Public delivery means the government has not been able to reach out for whatever bottlenecks that were there. The trust will be able to reach out, just like the way NGOs do. Okay. Now, comment means that not only favorable comments, favorable as in why they are important, but what are the issues. So in mains, we have this wonderful word. I often say this in my class, however. Change the para and write this wonderful word, however. What you are writing now, the examiner knows it, that you are pointing towards the inherent lacunas in the thing that you have just praised. Okay, so what are the lacunas? What do you see here? We don't have a uniform framework when it comes to their regulation. So when there is no uniform regulatory framework, things may happen arbitrarily, which is never good, which is never desirable. Plus, will they be sustainable? How long will they able to perform it? So sustainability of this public trust, because they don't get at times funding and all. So not every trust is Tata Trust. There are small trusts also. So will they be able to sustain themselves? Only then they will help the poor and the needy. Plus, when it comes to they need to act in tandem with the government. They don't have to check the government. So, government participation, they can complement and supplement. Okay, they can complement and supplement the government. For that, they need to coordinate with the government. This coordination at many times is very much missing. So these are the reasons we say that publicly these trust may not be able to do all the needful, okay, all the things that they do. But then you can, after writing all these things, you can also write another paragraph, small 2-3 lines you can add, that they have the potential to bring positive changes. They can ensure the last mile delivery of public goods and services, and they can address the needs of the vulnerable sections, especially women, the SCs, STs, the children, the Divyangs, the differently able section. Okay, they can also work for disaster relief operations. These things can happen. They can help the poor pool up their resources, something like cooperatives. And also you can link this and you can conclude this on a positive note. After writing this, the last para should be future oriented, should be suggestive, solution oriented, not like a cynic. Don't write as if you are writing an op-ed of the newspapers that you read. Okay, so please be solution oriented. This is what is expected from a future bureaucrat, that yes, they have potential, there are certain issues, but I am giving you solutions also. Okay, suggestive, positive note पे end करते हैं, not like a cynic. It's not an editorial. Okay. Now, next one. Poverty and malnutrition create a vicious cycle. See, two things which are in question: poverty and malnutrition. What they do? They create a vicious cycle. Vicious, you know, which keeps on repeating. Adversely affecting human capital formation. What steps can be taken to break the cycle? So, little elaboration you need to do here regarding poverty and malnutrition. This is a question of social justice actually. Not governance, not polity directly. It's a question of social justice. So malnutrition, actually, you know what it does? Malnutrition produces conditions of poverty, and poverty reinforces malnutrition. Please remember this line. So both serve as cause and consequence of each other. You can very well write this. Poverty and malnutrition, they serve as cause and consequence of, that's why this vicious cycle is there. Okay, they serve as cause and consequence of each other. And you know, the most unfortunate part is that it is very intergenerational. It is very intergenerational because malnourished woman, when she will have kids, the kids will be malnourished as well. So this is intergenerational. It is transferring from one generation to the other. Now it creates nutritional imbalances. Both these things, what they do, they create nutritional imbalances. This much introduction is now all right. You can write this in 40-50 words, and then you come to your this part. What steps can be taken to break the cycle? In fact, 70% of questions should go here, not explaining the concomitance between poverty and malnutrition. So what you do here, you can write that we need nutritional intervention to break the cycle. Nutritional intervention. And write some schemes like midday meals. Midday meals would be here. Nutritive food is being given to people here. Then you have integrated child development services. This is also ICDS. You can write integrated child development scheme. This is also very much child development services. This is a flagship of Government of India scheme. Then if income inequality needs to be addressed, income inequality. Why? Because it will inevitably lead to health inequality. It will lead to health inequality. So income, there should be attempt to bring equity here. Choose your words carefully. Do not write equality. Write equity. I hope you know the difference. So income inequality always gives rise to health inequality. That is why this attempt should be made. Economic policies, the government intervention should be such that there should be equity when it comes to income that will take care of the growing poverty as well as the malnutrition. Then you can make all these things like universal health care and education should be given. Two additional points you can write here. Livelihood scheme should be stressed at. NGOs and self-help groups need to come together, put their act together to help these people. PM Jan Dhan, Skill India, all these points you can write which will contribute to breaking the cycle. Just I am writing it one by one. Jan Dhan, you know, inclusive finance will be there. Okay. You can add on these various points. Education, healthcare. We already have 6 to 14 years free education. Quality needs to be improved. Healthcare. Okay. All these points you can add here. Next one. Doctrine of democratic governance makes it necessary that the public perception of the integrity and commitment of civil servants become absolutely positive. So this is your governance question. You need to discuss it. You have to discuss. So doctrine of democratic government. So don't be, if some of you have actually felt alienated seeing this line, there is no new doctrine that has been evolved. But it is just the same thing that you have been studying for long. Democratic governance, civil services and good governance. This is a question which addresses this. So what is the thing here? The doctrine of democracy makes it necessary that public perception of the integrity and so public perception. Why public perception matters? Perception matters a lot in everything. In bureaucracy, in politics, in share market, everywhere. These things, world operates largely on perception, right? So it matters and integrity and commitment of civil servants, because if the perception is otherwise, there will be a huge trust deficit. Okay, so here you can add that public perception, if it is good, then it will enhance the trust. It will enhance the trust of the people and the state, between the people and the state. Now you can also write these things that what are the issues, like doctrine is there, doctrine has been there, and it is, this doctrine is needed for integrity and commitment. So there are certain issues, with civil services. That is why we need more of this doctrine. What are the issues? So lack of integrity, corruption cases are there, inexperienced leadership at times we see, then their relationship with the politicians at times become very complex, then procedure oriented more than the result. They are means are more important than ends, as Gandhiji would say. So bureaucrats have taken this word literally. In India it is said that they are more procedure oriented than the outcome. Okay, outcome matters less than the procedure. Then arbitrary transfers happen, the accountability part is missing, transparency is missing. So these are the issues. Now how these issues can be taken care of, after writing the issues, you can write again our wonderful word for mains, however, and suggest something. Okay, suggest something that civil servants need to be insulated from political interference. Okay, that is how this democratic governance will be more strong. They need to be insulated. They need to have professionalism. And yes, it is true that civil servants are said to be generalists, but today administration itself has become very, very complicated. So some domain expertise will never harm. Some amount of domain expertise need to be imparted. Okay, this can be done. And they need to be result oriented, not only procedural oriented. All these things you can very well add here in this question. Next, we'll see. Yes, West, this is your international relations. West is fostering India as an alternative to reduce dependence on China's supply chain and as a strategic ally to counter China political and economic dominance. Explain this statement with example. Brilliant question this is. You see all the maneuvering that is happening around the geopolitics. So much of things are happening, and what else we are seeing, that there is an attempt by West to take India into its fold. So yes, West also wants India with its own terms and conditions. It is said that West needs India to check China. Simultaneously, West needs Pakistan to check India. Sima Sirohi has written a wonderful book, Friends with Benefit. Before you let your imagination fly, this is about India-US bilateral relationship. That US needs India in Indo-Pacific, not in Afghanistan. It will need India in I2U2, but not in other places. So conditional friendship is there. But what West is looking towards, see, this trend started with what is called friend shoring. Now, what was friend shoring? COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war. These countries are shifting their manufacturing and services base from Russia and China to friendly, like-minded countries. India stands to benefit out of it. How? The demographic dividend. Demographic dividend of India can utilize this friend shoring. We can create those opportunities here. Okay. Plus, West is also focusing on, you know, this China plus one. That apart from China, let there be manufacturing and assembling facilities in some other country like India, like South Korea, like Japan, like maybe Vietnam. Okay. This is what Australia, so the West is focusing on this. Plus, you see, this Obama started this what is called pivot to Asia policy. This is US. What was pivot to Asia? That US will shift its interest from West Asia to Southeast Asia through its partners like South Korea, Japan, and Australia. The Philippines will reach out to these countries more extensively to counter China. To counter China, they will do these things. Now, West is investing. West is also investing in India. In the field, many fields are there. Semiconductors, it's an emerging market, you know it. Pharmaceuticals, IT, and there are many other things. Then West is focusing on what is called B3W. I hope you know about this. Build Back Better World. What is Build Back Better World? It's an attempt to check the belligerence of China. Okay, 8 data study says that 42 countries have 10% of their GDP owed as debt to China. So these people are bringing what is called B3W, Build Back a Better World, and India has been asked to join. Sustainable projects will be financed through this. Okay, sustainable projects will be financed through Build Back Better World. India has already been asked to join. Then there is Blue Dot Network. Blue Dot Network. Like-minded countries, Australia, Japan, they are coming together and they are saying that we will create such facilities from developing countries that need not fall prey to Russia, to China. And India has again been asked to join this Blue Dot network as late as the year 2020. Then IMEC, India, Middle East, Europe corridor. You know about this. This was announced in Delhi G20 last year. Now this is a challenge to BRI. Challenge to China's BRI. Okay. Now there are certain issues here, Israel-Hamas attack and all that. In fact, it is said, President Biden said this, that one of the reasons Hamas attacked Israel on 7th October 2023 is to derail IMEC. Some people in India believe it. Yes, it looks like it has happened. Not only because Hamas wanted it, but it was made to do. No need to go into all that. So you see, these are the things. These are the examples that you need to write. All these examples you can very well write here. That will be your answer. Then the next thing, Central Asian republics, the 5 wonderful countries, Central Asia. Critically analyze India's evolving diplomatic, economic and strategic relation with Central Asian republics, highlighting their increasing significance in regional and global geopolitics. So India has reached them through 4 C's. India is reaching Central Asian countries through 4 C's: commerce, capacity building, connectivity and contact. Of course, it is people to people. Commerce, connectivity, because India is not having direct route here, direct access. Capacity building and contact, which is your people to people. First line should be this. Wonderful line it would be. Then you see diplomatic. So diplomatic, you can write the India and Central Asia summits that happen. Annually they happen. Okay. They and regular high level visits. From both countries. Both of them are there in SCO. SCO participant. Regular interactions happen with these countries. Okay. And what else you can add here? Diplomatic is this. Economic. Economic, you can add India gave a $1 billion line of credit to these countries. India is going for investments. It's a resource rich area, resource rich poor area actually. It is blessed with ample resources, but they have not been able to kind of utilize it well. So there's this Tapi pipeline. You must be aware of it. Okay, rich oil and gas reserves are there. Oil, gas, then you have natural resources like gold, like aluminium, coal. They have thousands of acres of land. India can do agriculture and solve food security of Central Asia as well as of India. Okay, pharma, IT, all these things are there. Now, what is the significance? Why Central Asia is so significant? Significance for India. Why? So first we have addressed the first part of the question, that which it was asking how India is engaging at these 3 different levels. Next you can add this, that significance. What is the significance? And this will answer your strategic aspect, why it is important. So what will you write there? You can write that it will check the threats from Pakistan. Check threat from Pakistan. How exactly? So India will get a viable access to these countries and will not be dependent on Pakistan to get this access. Then you can also add that the Taliban takeover has happened. Taliban takeover in Afghanistan can have what is called a spillover effect in Central Asia. So India does not want that. Okay, India does not want that to happen. Otherwise, all these operations the India that is doing will be spoiled. India wants it for its mineral and energy security. India wants it for mineral as well as energy security. It is often, this area is often called arena of great games. See, great game was actually, this term was used for the rivalry to describe the diplomatic and political rivalry between Britain and the Tsarist Russia over Afghanistan in 19th and 20th century. But now we are talking about arena of great game. This is for Central Asia, and it is happening between major players. So everyone is here. US is here. Russia has always considered Central Asia to be its backyard. China is there. India is reaching. So Turkey wants to be here. Turkey is also an emerging power. Okay. So all of them want to have their footprints. Now this area, if not nurtured and look well, this can give rise to amplification of narco-terrorism. And currently it serves as a buffer against fundamentalism. So that is why this area remains so important. That is why this area remains so important for India. Next one. This act was passed. You know about this act? This act has been passed, and the aims and objects of recently passed and enforced the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act. Now, whether university, state education board examination two are covered, the brief answer to the second part is no, but this will serve as a model for states. Okay, this is what it is being envisioned here, that it will serve as a model for the state. Now, why this question? Because of NEET controversy. Because of the NEET issue. So much happened in NEET, you know, many students suffered. The NET test that was there, UGC NET and all public examination has come under increased scrutiny. Okay. Now, what is the purpose? What are the aims and objectives of this bill? So, aim kya hai iska? Aim should be, aim should be to stop the unfair means. Okay. Prevent unfair means. So, this is a very contemporary question. It was so much in news that UPSC had to ask it. Okay. It will prevent unfair means. And section 3 of this act, section 3 of this act defines 15 acts. 15 acts have been listed here. 15 actions that will amount to using unfair means. For example, bribery, using electronic devices, digital watches are not allowed inside. This should not be there. Okay. Leaking question paper, answer keys, all these things are here. Now, this is what the aim is. This is what the short aim is. Now, another thing is asked that what is the objective? What are the objectives here? So, objects are like, first it has defined what is public examination, like which exam amounts to public examination. This has been defined for the first time in a statute. Section 2 subclause K. Section 2 subclause K has defined it very appropriately. It has defined that examination conducted by a public examination authority listed in the act schedule. Any public authority which conducts an exam is a public examination. Now it also wants to ensure exams integrity should not be compromised beyond repairs. Deterrents are being prescribed here. Section 9 has prescribed for deterrents. Penalties have been there. And security measures have been enhanced. These are the objects. Advanced security features have been implemented. Surveillance cameras, frisking will be done. Digital monitoring will be done to prevent cheating. Now, it will also promote public awareness. Like if you do such acts, you will be not spared. And it is also setting up specialized courts to settle the issues that happened here. Okay, so all these things you can write here. And a model draft for a state it will provide. It is not something which the states have to examination state university board do not fall under it, but it provides a model act for the states to follow. Okay, it provides a model act for the states to follow. This you can add, and you can end this question. Now, right to privacy is intrinsic to life and personal liberty and is inherently protected under Article 21. So you know about this act, the K.S. Puttaswamy judgment. Right to privacy is a part of Article 21. It's a derived fundamental right. Okay, what is it? It is a derived fundamental right. So you can elaborate on this. Right to privacy is intrinsic to life and personal liberty, and what you need to write here, that privacy is very essential, and privacy includes a right to sexual orientation. You can add. It is also included here. Now, court has laid down certain criterias under which privacy can be breached. So it is not absolute. Okay, only through certain categories it will be breached. You know about that. The act should be having a legislative mandate. It should be least intrusive of all the available actions, and it must be necessary in a democratic country. So all these things you can add to right to explain it. Now the law related to DNA testing of child in womb to establish its paternity. Now currently, try to understand a child who is not born and to test the paternity. Paternity testing, there is no law in India. No law for paternity testing in India right now. So after explaining this, you can change the para and write about this thing. There is no such law, and there are matters like privacy of the mother, privacy of the alleged father. Why alleged? Because that is why paternity test is done, and of the unborn child. Will be questioned. Will be questioned. Now it will also have an ethical angle. Not merely a legal issue, but also an ethical issue. Should this be done? Okay, should this be done? So normally what we have seen is that prescribing DNA tests, courts have been very cautious. Courts have cautious approach here. So this question is actually a mix of social justice and polity. It's a mix here. Okay. So you can add all these things, you can make it a coherent answer. Moving on to the next one. What changes the union government recently introduced in the domain of center-state relations? You start with GST. GSTC has been established. First part. And let us answer the first part. Then there are changes to all India services rules, mostly related to the transfer posting and the training and all. These things have been done. Then the Disaster Management Act, which was invoked during COVID. And the word disaster is not in Schedule 7. So, you know, when it is not in Schedule 7, then center will use its residuary powers. Then you can add, there is an increasing list of increase in concurrent list. Okay, increase in concurrent list is happening. Deputation rule of and transfer policing policies of all India services have been changed. Now, these are the changes. Now, suggest measures to be adopted to build the trust. So, after writing all these things, you can write that these have created trust issues between center and state, to the extent that one state, the Kerala government has approached Supreme Court because it alleges that center is not allowing it to borrow. Okay, so it's not a very favorable scenario. Now, center says that you are already under a financial free fall. Kerala government is unable to pay salary to its employees. As a matter of fact, now there are people who defend it by saying that Kerala has gone for a spending spree for social justice methods and all. But the arguments by the Solicitor General and Attorney General in the Supreme Court made Supreme Court say that we are prima facie inclined to believe what the center says. So they have listed it to a constitutional bench. This issue has been referred to a constitutional bench. Let the constitutional bench give a verdict, then we will know about it. But you can, ऐसा हो तो रहा है ना, this is happening. Now, how it will be undone? How to build the trust? Question क्या है? That how to build the trust. So how to build the trust? Use this. Use interstate councils. This has become so irregular despite being a constitutional body, Article 263. So why we don't have much of interstate council meetings? A consensus should be generated here. Then zonal councils, they also need to meet. These are statutory bodies. Frequent meetings should happen. Niti Aayog meetings are not serving this purpose. Niti Aayog is for some other purpose. They will discuss other policy related things, but the confrontational issues can be discussed here. Then emphasize on fiscal federalism. Emphasis. Finance Commission will play a key role here. The recommendations will be very useful. How to augment the finances. Then practice what is called cooperative federalism. Practice cooperative federalism. Both center and state should complement each other. And there is a need to relook 7th schedule. As suggested by, you can add suggested by Vijay Kelkar. Okay, write the name of the expert here. This will give you good marks. Okay, this thing you can very well add. ये अपना आप अच्छे से लिख सकते हो. Now explain the reasons for the growth of public interest litigation. One line you need to write here. What is PIL? These are the petitions filed for larger public interest. And one thing more you can add, not many will add this, so you can add this, that court does not check the locus standi in PIL. What is locus? Whenever you approach a court, court will ask how you are related. This how you are related has a legal term called locus standi. Suppose someone's theft has happened in someone's house, so court will see how you are impacted. The person will say, "मेरे घर चोरी हुई, burglary happened at my house, so I am the one impacted. This is my locus." In PIL, there is no concept of locus. In PILs, there is no concept of locus. So, reasons for growth. Locus standi is gone. No locus. So anyone can file a petition. I don't need to be impacted in order to file a PIL. So this will widen its origin. Then judicial review has increased, especially after Maneka Gandhi case, because court has applied the American jurisprudence of due process. Okay. So this due process enables the court to check the intention behind the law or policy. This is also resulting in more PILs. Then the concept of implied fundamental rights are emerging. Right to sleep, right to privacy, right to be forgotten, right to sexual orientation. These things were unheard of some 10-15 years back. But new rights are coming up and people are also filing PILs for the same. Then you can add one more thing, that judiciary is reading part 3 and part 4 together. Fundamental rights and DPSPs, which is widening the ambit of fundamental rights. For example, I'll give you an example. Article 39A, it came through 42nd Amendment, right to free legal aid. Part of DPSP Part 4, Hussain Ara Khatun case. What did the Supreme Court say? Right to free legal aid is a part of Article 21. So see, because these two things are being read together, it is widening the scope, the horizons of fundamental rights, especially Article 21. So these are the reasons for more of this judicial review, this PILs being accepted, and judicial activism also. Judicial activism has also contributed to growth of public interest litigation. Many a times judges read a matter in newspaper and say that list this in my court after 2 days. So one need not file a case, a PIL or an adjudication in the court. Court can do these things on its own. Now the next part says, has the Indian Supreme Court emerged as the world's most powerful judiciary? There you have to be very cautious, change the pen, right? That India functions on what is called constitutional supremacy. All the three organs, including judiciary, is supposed to abide with the constitution. But constitution is what the courts tell us, right? Constitution is what the court tell us, so they are the final interpreter, they are the guardians. This question also came in your prelims. Now, despite court interpreting the constitution, being the last word on it, the executive court is not having any agency of its own. So court is dependent on the same executive for implementation of its judgments, decrees and orders. So this way you can write that Supreme Court may be the final word on constitution, but constitution remains supreme. And one point you can add, one line you can write, that court is the interpreter. Court should not confuse itself with Constituent Assembly. They are interpreting the Constitution. They cannot rewrite the Constitution. Okay. And lastly, they are powerful, but Constitution is the most powerful. India is not having American jurisprudence of judicial supremacy. It is constitutional supremacy, and that is why courts are also dependent on the government for implementation of its judgments. Next question. Discuss India as a secular state and compare with secular principle of US. So Indian principle, you know, it is equal proximity. To all religions. And currently it has become principal distance model. Not principal distance. Principal distance was the Nehruvian model. Modi model is equidistant model. So here is state, and here is religion 1, religion 2, religion N. The distance would be same. Okay, when it comes to intervention, when it comes to giving affirmative action, this is the equidistant model of the Modi government. Now you don't have to compare it with the principal distance model of Nehru ji. Modi ji wala sahi hai yahan par abhi. So how is India a secular state? Because India still does not have an official religion. Okay, India goes by what is called, you know, this Sarva Dharma Sambhava. All these things you can write and compare. Discussion has happened. Equidistant model you have said. Principal distance, what like a state will maintain more less distance with the majority religion. That is why Hindu Code Bill will be passed in 1952, but Uniform Civil Code not till now. So this was Nehruvian model. He said that let us first start with the majority. When the minority is convinced, then we will move forward. When he brought Hindu Code Bill, likes of Mahavir Tyagi, Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Patel, J.B. Kriplani, all of them opposed it. But he said, let us start with majority. So when it comes to intervention, I'll start with majority. Let the minority be convinced. Later on, this is the principal distance. Distance will be on the basis of principle. He would not go to the inauguration of Somnath temple, right? He would say that I, being the PM of a secular country, should not exhibit my religious belief. Now you know, the current PM wears his religion on his sleeve. That was also fine at that time. This is also fine at that time. Dare not provide any, you know, ratings to them. Just compare them. Okay. This is what is happening right now. Okay. This is what the state is practicing right now. Now comparison is to be done with the American model. So how do you compare this with American model? American model goes for strict separation of the church and politics. Western model goes for compartmentalization. Indian model goes for principal distance, like as and when needed, state will intervene. So state here intervenes more than the West because their state and religion are two distinct and separate entities, and thou shall not meet. This is the Western version. America is a part of West only. Next, there is no specific provision in US for religious minorities. In India, you see, right from Article 25, Article 29, specifically Article 30, Bare Act mentions the word minority. Okay. So in India, there are specific special provisions for minority, unlike in US. This is the second thing you can add. And US maintains a hands-off approach. Indian secularism allows the state to intervene more. Abolition of untouchability, abolition of triple talaq, all these are examples that you can very well write there. Let us see the next. Citizen Charter has been a landmark initiative in ensuring citizen-centric administration, but it is yet to reach its full potential. So question assumes that there is something wrong with Citizen Charter itself. It has not been able to do all what it can have done right now. Identify the factors hindering the realization of its promise. Now, like why this has become like this, why there are some shortcomings. So first thing you will do is that what is citizen charter? Just one line you will add. It is a set of commitments. It is a set of commitments made by an organization regarding the standard of services which it will deliver to the public. One simple line. No need to write all its history that it came from this country and that country. That is not what is required here. Now, what are the issues? What are the shortcomings of citizen charter? These points you have to write. So, hindering कैसे हो रहा है? तो this is not having any participative mechanism. So these charters are made unilaterally. No consultative process happens here, and people are not even aware. There is a lack of public awareness that we see. Okay, there is a lack of people don't know that such services charter is being provided by the organization. Plus the design and content has poor layout. If you don't believe me, right next to you on your tab on your phone, open a government website, check the citizen charter section of that website, and you will largely agree with this. Of course, having said this, there are some of them who have done very well, but that's why I use the word largely. Now, these citizen charters are not updated regularly. Okay, this is not done regularly, and service delivery has to have certain standard. Which standard? What standard? There are no measurable standards. Measurable standards of service delivery is not there. Absent, simply absent. And then what it does? It goes for one size fit all model. Customized citizen charters are not there. They are not properly updated. And suggest measures to overcome them. So some measures you can write from here itself. So if it is not having participative mechanism, make it more participative. Start a campaign for creating public awareness. Design should be better. Regular updations need to happen, and please identify the time period that by this time it will be done. Okay, by this time it will be done. Regular evaluation should happen. A review should happen. A review and evaluation should be more regular. And one size fit all model should not be there. It should be more customized. That is it. This question is also answered. Now the 17th one. Again, this question is here because a law has been passed for this. A law to nahi, but something is in pipeline. Crucial domain like public healthcare system. The public healthcare, see, government, Indian state should play a vital role. That's why it is public. To contain the adverse impact of marketization of the system. See, problem with marketization is that market takes care of demand and supply. State has to take care of need and supply. You understand the difference between these two things. Suggest some measure through which the state can enhance the reach of public health care at the grassroots level. So you can start by writing that the private healthcare accounts for almost 70% of the healthcare of this country. And increasing marketization may annihilate the vulnerable section. Now, how to enhance the reach of public healthcare? How, see, corporatization of healthcare should not be the agenda. So, how it needs to be enhanced? Straight away, you can write more finance need to be allotted. Give them more money, or paisa do. Okay. Then infrastructure. Invest in better infra. Create better healthcare infra. This needs to be done. What else you can say? You can talk about that workforce, not only infra, but increase the workforce, recruit more people, provide them with necessary training, increase workforce. And you can suggest that healthcare needs to be like pocket needs to permit it. So it should be affordable healthcare. Healthcare should be affordable. And Ayushman Bharat initiative can be very well written here. Now, you can conclude that after writing these points that these are some of the measures that you can take. And why? Because it is the question itself says that public healthcare is too critical a thing to be left to the market, left to market forces alone. And then you can add this, what I said earlier, that market will take care of demand and supply, and not need and supply. So market will be incentivized to go after the demand, and those with more money can make it work. This you can write and conclude it. E-governance, not just about the routine application of digital technology in service delivery. It is as much about multifarious interactions for ensuring transparency and accountability. Evaluate the role of interactive service model of e-governance. Fine. Now, you can define here what is e-governance. Just 2-minute break we will take, then we'll continue. Yes, this question says evaluate the role of interactive service model of e-governance. First thing you need to define one line e-governance. This is application of information communication technology in governance, which is believed to be enhancing accountability and transparency. Okay, believed to be enhancing accountability and transparency, and can also check leakages in public finance. This is how you have defined e-governance here. This is how you have defined it. And you can add one more line, 1 or 2 more lines, a 15-mark question that it has become very important, integral part. It has become government is emphasizing, increasingly emphasizing e-governance, and many delivery mechanisms have improved. All these things you can add, Jandhan and all you can say. Now directly come to the interactive model, because this question only has the extent of definition and scope of e-governance in the first 40-50 words, maybe 50, okay, or 10 more. Evaluate the role of interactive service model. This is what it asks. Now you know what people will make mistake. They will go first page, they will write all about e-governance. These are the process, this is how it is, this is how it will bring good that is not being asked. 40 to 50, 50 or 60 maximum. Usse zyada nahi. You need to stop boasting your knowledge about e-governance. Change the paragraph. Start evaluating the role of interactive service model. This is what the person who is checking your answer should see it right there. Okay, that yes, instead of beating around the bush, the aspirant has addressed the question after giving a very proper introduction in 50 to 60 words. That is how you get marks. Okay. Now, what is this interactive service model? This focuses on two-way service from the citizen as well as from the government. Two-way, you can write this communication service between the citizen and the government. It allows the citizen to access the service. Okay, and also not only access but provide feedbacks, review that service, report it, participate in the decision making, how it can be improved. So this is how you will write this. Social media integration, mobile apps, all these interactive websites, my government, mygov.in, you can also give your feedback. I hope you people know, and some of you must have done that. So these things need to be done here. This thing need to be written. Now evaluating, now we have described what is interactive service model. Now the evaluation needs to be there. So what will be the evaluation? How it will, you will write that it has no doubt enhanced transparency and accountability. Use these words very generously when you are writing about e-governance and good governance. Transparency and accountability. What else it has done? It has also improved the efficiency. Efficiency too will be increased. Why it will be increased? Because you see, when it is being done through electronic channels, the human interaction thing is removing. The discussion of human beings are being reduced. Instead of a cashier, ATM is there. So the delays may be reduced. Okay, a very simple example I have given. Then it will also increase participation from citizens. So citizens will not hesitate. Okay, they will be they will more approach it. Okay, they will approach the services more, and there will be multiple channels for the engagement of citizens. So they will more likely to accommodate the varied needs of the citizens. Okay, but evaluation cannot happen only by praising it. However, again our word, mains wala word aa jayega, para change karo, right? However, there are certain issues. What are the issues? First thing is digital connectivity. You know, the rural-urban divide. Then gender inequity. Why they are saying this? Men have more access to digital platform than women. This you can write. Then we have issue of data privacy. Okay, data privacy is always there. Then everyone is giving feedback. Now, who will act on that feedback? We are a country of 145 crore people. Even if 50% of people send feedback, government will be overwhelmed. कि भाई ये तो बहुत कुछ भेज दिए हैं. How, when will they read, when will they analyze, and when will they implement? So the multiplicity of feedback, okay, because it is very easy for all of us to click a mouse and send our opinion. But government can be overwhelmed from that. Okay, there is no method to refine it. So that these are all the issues, and you can conclude that this interactive service model, no doubt has done wonders. It has brought more good governance and e-governance, and it has advanced e-governance by fostering more of citizen engagement. And whatever lacunas are there, these can be worked upon and no doubt it will usher in a new era of good governance. This is how you end it on a positive note. Yes, this question. See, terrorism पे question आया है and people are like that this is something we study in paper 3, but this you study in your paper 2. Significant threat to global peace and security. Evaluate the effectiveness of UN Security Council's counter-terrorism committee. See, this was in news. It is actually applied current affairs in paper 2. Last year they asked about the ocean, IMO and all. Okay. This year they have asked UN Security Council counterterrorism. So evaluate the effectiveness, how effective this is, and its associated bodies in addressing and mitigating the threat at the international level. So first we will do UN Security Council. Okay. You know what is UN Security Council? So what they have done, UN Security Council has come up with counter-terrorism committee. CTC has been established here. First thing they did was to establish a global framework. A global framework, consensus-based framework was there for counter-terrorism. Global framework for counter-terrorism was their resolutions 1373 was often quoted here. Actually, this UN resolution number 1373 mandates the countries to prevent and suppress terror financing. Okay, so this thing was done. Now, what else they have done? They have improved cooperation and coordination among different nations. Actually, you can write nations or you can write stakeholders also. There are some non-state actors also. Better information sharing is happening. Okay, intelligence exchange between countries have improved. All these things you can add. Then it also focuses on capacity building to tackle terror. See, terrorists are very high tech. ISIS used to release beheading videos in HD qualities. This is how tech savvy they are. So the state and the international organizations also need to up the ante, need to improve upon their game. Okay, so capacity building skill needs to be imparted here. Technical assistance has to be given to people who are fighting for counter-terror measures. Then once you do it, the compliance needs to be there. Compliance and monitoring, because now it has been formed. Is it being adhered to? Is it being complied? Someone has to, a body has to review that as well. So committee monitors the country's compliance with counter-terror measures. So if Maulana Masood Azhar has been designated as a terrorist, it will be ensured by UN that Pakistan freezes its assets and its movements are restricted, and it's actually happening. So this is how it will be done. Now, terror threats, analyzing terror threats. Pick the pattern. Okay, analyze the terror threats, pick the pattern, and hit the funding. FATF and all, you don't have to quote it, but this committee has actually gone for it. Okay, this committee has gone for it. So associated, this is how we have evaluated it. Now, associated bodies. So there are certain associated bodies. There you will write about FATF. FATF is an associated body, Financial Action Task Force. Pakistan पर ban लगाया था. Then again they lifted it also. So this is done to combat money laundering, because this is where terror finance comes from. Terrorists do not work 9 to 5, okay, or at times more than 5. So regular jobs do not is not done by the terrorist. Like they don't they have to take on the might of the state. So the resources have to be same. So counterfeit currencies, illegal arms deal, human trafficking, drugs. Taliban got most of the money from opium trade. ISIS first looted a bank. This is how they get their money. Organ trade, all these things they do. Now, FATF ensures that this money laundering hawala transactions are stopped, and their recommendations are also important. Countries need to abide with it. Then you can add about the Interpol. You know what Interpol is? International police. Okay, supports the countries in tracking down these terrorists. It can issue red corner notices. Then every country will issue alert for that particular fugitive. All these things you know, and you can write this also. Another point is UN Office of Counterterrorism. There is this UN Office of Counterterrorism, UNCOT. It is called UN Office of Counterterrorism. Sorry, UNOCT. You can write Office of Counterterrorism. What is the purpose of this office? This is a very off late establishment. I guess in 2017 or 18 it came, and it aims to bring better coordination among the different countries who are a part of UN to address terrorism. Hit them where it hurts. Do not let a congenial environment be there for terrorism. They have identified certain things like conflict zones. They have said this. Actually, UNOCT has said this, that conflict zones are breeding ground for terrorists. You see what happened in Middle East after Saddam Hussein is gone. ISIS emerged. Bashar al-Assad was facing, civil war. What happened in Syria? So ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Howsoever bad Saddam was, he provided a uniformity to that region. Same thing in Afghanistan. 10 years of Soviet invasion, emergence of Islamic militias aided by the US, Al Qaeda and Taliban emerges. Okay, so they say that conflict zones, we need to go for relief work and rehabilitation as soon as possible. Otherwise, more and more terrorists will come up. So these are the associated ones. You can write about them as well. Last question for the day. An ally of India. I am not saying this. The government says this. In fact, both governments say this. The Maldives government has also said this, and Indian government has also. In fact, President Muizu was invited to the swearing in of Prime Minister Modi. So, geopolitical and geostrategic importance of Maldives for India with a focus on global trade and energy flows. Also discuss how this relationship impacts India's maritime security and regional stability amidst international. Very good question, and this was actually on cards. ये question तो आना था. Now, why India needs Maldives? Let us start with it. Importance. So, Maldives, proximity. To what? Proximity to the west coast of India. Maldives, proximity to the west coast of India. It is actually, precisely if I say, it is 70 nautical miles from Minicoy. 70 nautical miles from Minicoy and 300 nautical miles from India's west coast. Okay, so it is right there in the periphery of India. And see, this question is also asking trade and energy flows. So someone so near to you has to be in your scheme of things. So why this? This the second part, trade and energy flows. Where this comes from? It is located at the hub of commercial sea lanes. Hub of commercial sea lanes. Which sea lane I am talking about? The running through the Indian Ocean. Okay, it is all running through the sea lanes that are running through the Indian Ocean. 8 degree north. The location is 8 degree north and 1.5 degree north channels. 1.5 degree north channels. It is right up there. Now, this is Maldives is a key element of India's maritime security. Maritime security calculus, it is a key element. Security scenarios, any security scenario in India's periphery, you know, the boundary in the Indian Ocean is very linked to the maritime strength of Maldives. I repeat this, security scenario in India's maritime periphery in Indian Ocean is very much linked to the maritime strength of Maldives. Now, there is a reason that 70% of Maldives defense training is done by India. 70% of it is done by India. Indian Navy has given aircraft and choppers. Indian Navy has gifted these things to them. Aircraft, choppers have been given to Maldives, and aerial surveillance. These have been given for maintaining aerial surveillance in that region. Now, India wants to set up a coastal radar system. This is on pipeline, and this will be very soon. Now, it will be materialized also in Maldives with a view to keep an eye on activities in Indian Ocean to monitor IOR. To monitor the IOR. Now, how this relationship affects India maritime security and regional. So you see, here you have to bring the Chinese angle because China has already made inroads in Maldives, and you know what happened last year. Some people from that country, Prime Minister Modi went to Lakshadweep and all, but PM has all the rights to go to any part of this country. But this sets some bad blood because some ministers from Maldives reacted in an adversarial way. Then president has to remove some of them. So that is why this question. Now better sense prevailed, and then president was invited to the swearing in of PM Modi this year itself. That is why this question is here, because so much of controversy happened, and many people, many tourists from India started canceling their bookings. You don't mess with a country which has such a large demography with cheap mobile data and internet connection and social media access. So, but at the end, things improved. So, from purely strategic perspective, India needs Maldives, no doubt about that, on its sides to secure its maritime periphery and to keep an eye on the Indian Ocean region and check China as well. So India supplies Maldives with its everyday essentials, everything other than the aquatic product, because they have everything, except seafood. India provides them each and everything: poultry, rice, spices, fruits, medicines, every day they say. And India is the second largest trade partner of Maldives as on 2023. So, amidst international competition, why? Because the Chinese angle needs to be explored here. That already China has made inroads in Maldives. And China is eyeing Indian Ocean region, which is India's strategic backyard. हमारा इलाका है. Okay, this is our waters. This is what India says. And the world agrees. So that is China coming here is not favorable for India and not for Maldives also, because what can Maldives face? What other countries have faced? Debt trap. Okay, it can fall under debt trap. See, China gives loans to these countries at high rate of interest. Now you may ask why they take loan from China, because these countries are not very rich countries. Okay, their credit rating is not such that international institutions will lend them money. Now IMF may lend money at 2%, World Bank at 1.5 or 2%, China will lend at 7%. So China will lend the money. When they will not be able to pay back, China will ask for collateral. Hambantota port from Sri Lanka, Entebbe international port from Uganda. एक ही port था. Uganda only had one international port. It has been taken over by China. Angola is paying Chinese debt with crude oil. See how it conquers everything. Remember 8 data study I quoted, 42 countries have 10% of their GDP owed as debt to China. So it is not in the interest of Maldives if it completely aligns with China. It makes sense to engage with India, and they have realized this the hard way. India has also realized this. So it is mutually beneficial. Mutually beneficial for both countries to consolidate their partnership. Okay. Likewise, India, you can also add this, that India has of late emerged as net security provider. Write this point. Not many will write this point. Net security provider in Indian Ocean region. India has emerged as net security provider. Now this security threat is not only from the belligerent moves of China, it is also with regards to the uncertainty in the ocean. Some tsunami comes, some cyclone comes, HADR we have, NDRF we have, we can bail out these people. India is already saying, don't worry, I have my system in place, I will protect you. So for their security purpose, for their economic purpose, for their strategic purpose, there is no better partner than India. The other one is not so reliable. Okay, so this way you can conclude this answer. And that was all from our part. I hope and I wish that those who have written the exam this year, they do extremely well, make us all proud, get your desired service and your cadre. Those who have not been able to do this, there is a next time. Work on your weakness, work on your vulnerabilities, update yourself, and let us know where we can help. All the very best to you.